What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's reaction video is super interesting maps of the US that you need to see, and you need to see.
And you do.
And I need to see. Super interesting. We'll be the judge of that. I think it's general knowledge.
We will
Smash
be.
that like button, smash that subscribe button. I think the channel we're reacting to today is general knowledge. Their link is in the description. But what should they do?
Wait till after the video.
Wait till after the video. Speak a bit louder so I can hear it.
Wait till after the video.
Yeah, exactly. Smash that like button, guys. We'd really appreciate it. Smash that subscribe. Ooh, did I say like or subscribe first?
You said like.
Smash that subscribe button as well, you absolute legends. This intro is a shambles. We've just recorded Band of Brothers episode 6, haven't we?
Yeah.
That it will be on the Patreon on the 15th. On the movie channel, we put out a post today. We're going to get into it. We're getting ahead. We're going to get them edited this time. And then we're going to hit it as consistent. Because we're about 4 videos we've got. 1's edited so far. 3 are in editing. And then we'll be able to upload every 3 days. So watch out for that. Are you ready?
Yes.
What video are we reacting to today?
Interesting maps.
Of US, that?
Yeah. We need to see.
That we need to see. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's go. General knowledge.
Maps are the best. I keep repeating this in videos, but I really think it's true. I could look at
like a good
any
map.
type of map for such a long time without getting tired of it. And the reason why is that when you look at a map, you're always learning. Regardless of what the map is about, it presents you with some type of data regarding the depicted territory. So in this video, we're going to do exactly that and use around 10 maps to learn some interesting pieces of information about the United States. There's an infinite amount of data maps we can use in a situation like this. I chose 10 that I came across online and that I found particularly interesting, allowing us to draw some specific conclusion from them. They are also unrelated to each other. A quick disclaimer, I got these maps off Reddit, Instagram, and other places online. Remember, there might be some inaccuracies. Let's start with the 2 on the thumbnail. First, house prices. Looking at this map, we realize that houses seem to be much more expensive in the western part of the United States. This surprised me. I knew urban centers were very expensive in the west, but I assumed altogether the East Coast states had a higher cost of living. Apparently, this isn't exactly the case. California seems to be the most expensive state overall. Maybe only Connecticut rivals it. Although this map is divided by counties, which allows us to get a grasp of the different realities within the same state. This is especially interesting.
It makes sense that the coast of California is the most expensive.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it makes sense, like the big towns. I'm guessing that's Houston in Texas or something like that. But again, Texas is quite cheap in some places, so that's a lot of people like going to Texas. It makes
sense.
I can see why. I do like what you said about it being in county though, not state, because I mean Texas could be quite high if it was just a state one.
Well, California would be really high, wouldn't it? It'd be just all blue.
All of it would just be super dark blue, but you get an idea of the
which
different
parts.
Yeah, definitely. You can see like the cities and stuff. So that is super interesting.
East Coast in places like Florida, New York, Pennsylvania, or Virginia, where the vast majority of the state is much cheaper when compared to the main urban centers. The whole state of New York is much cheaper than the Manhattan area, known for its ridiculous housing prices, and the same happens, for instance, in Tennessee. I was surprised by some of the most expensive places. Honestly, I had no idea that Colorado was also expensive. Hawaii was more expected. An interesting map associated with this one is the next, which points out the salary you need to afford the average home in each state. This presents an interesting comparison with the previous map because it takes
$120,000 in California. $153,000 in Hawaii. Yeah, we're never living in Hawaii.
Living in California.
Never lived in California or Colorado.
I think we'll move ourselves
to find the cheapest state.
Michigan.
Alabama's low. What's
Chicago. Should go to Chicago.
Ooh, Michigan is low. What's
Chicago?
Oh, Chicago is low.
Chicago's one of the lowest.
WV. What's WV?
West Virginia.
West Virginia. I don't know why that blanked, but they're the cheapest, aren't they? West Virginia.
Yep. I'll go to Chicago, then not West Virginia. More to do in Chicago.
There's the big bean.
Takes into account another important aspect in house purchases: salaries. If in a given state prices are super cheap, but the salaries are super low, then maybe they end up having...
Oh, you are silly.
I saw the H.
I was going to say, Chicago's in Illinois. I was going to say, well, you threw me off then as well. I just assumed it were.
You fully agreed with me.
I know, because I just trusted you, but yeah. So
I saw the H and I just bought Chicago, but...
Yeah, we got roasted.
I'm not living to Chicago, sorry, that's way too expensive.
People definitely paused, roasted in the comments, and now we're just catching up and like...
I'm going to Hawaii. I'm going to Ohio.
We're going to West Virginia.
Yeah.
Having a worse housing situation than a super expensive state that has medium-high salaries.
Okay.
Colorado stands out again as one of the worst here, but none beat California. In 5
Yeah,
states,
Hawaii
you need
does.
a salary of over
Yeah, Hawaii does.
$90,000 a year to purchase the average home. California, Colorado, New York, Hawaii, and Massachusetts. Washington, Oregon, and Utah are the next higher level. The best relation between house prices and salaries seems to be in Ohio and West Virginia, then Montana, Idaho, and Nevada, along with Virginia, Connecticut, and Florida, which range between 70 and 80,000. Texas, Minnesota, Arizona, Alaska, North Carolina, Delaware, New Jersey, Vermont, and New Hampshire are in the halfway mark on the scale. Texas surprised
too
me. I
bad.
thought
Yeah,
it would
not
be
too bad.
higher
Normal.
up. And then in yellow and green, we have the places where lower salaries will be able to buy you a house under the terms pointed out in the title of the map.
Okay.
Then we have the second map on the thumbnail, forest area. This map surprised me for 2 reasons. One, I always knew the US had a lot of desert, but I didn't expect this whole wide area in the middle to be so empty of forest. The
We
high
did a
degree
video
of
on this, didn't we?
vegetation in the west coast was expected, but it also surprised me the east coast areas are so densely full. This is
Okay.
the area of the US that's most inhabited, and usually more humans equals less nature. I'm glad to see
True.
this isn't the case. There are some conflicting maps about this though, although I think the key differences lie in one being a map of virgin forest, meaning naturally occurring, and the other including all, meaning also the ones that were planted by humans. The
Okay,
series of
got
3
ya.
maps, one from 1620, the other from 1850, and the last from 1926, shows us how devastated the virgin forest of the US has been, with the majority of it
wow.
disappearing and being cut down.
Wow. That's
The
gone down
areas roughly
loads.
coincide in all the maps, with the desert areas always being there.
That's
Is
not
the
good.
first map accurate in representing forests today? Let me know in the comments. Oddly enough, the forest coverage doesn't seem to affect or create any associated trend in the presence of animal predators, which
Okay,
is
Okay.
what
that's good
this
then.
map
Yeah.
shows us. The largest land predator by US state. Most of the South has the American
Black
alligator
bear.
as the
Mm.
largest,
Black
while
bear
Florida
is
has the
popular.
American crocodile. I for one didn't even know the US had crocodiles. I thought it was only alligators and assumed
I'm not
that
being
only
funny, but when I think of Florida, I don't think of crocodiles. I just think of alligators.
I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know there was much difference between alligators and crocodiles.
I mean, if you showed me a picture of one of them and said, "What is it?" I'd be like, I'd probably say crocodile.
Let us know the difference in the comments below, because I honestly won't be able to tell you the difference.
And then alligator and crocodile.
Yeah. I may know
See you
it.
later, alligator. In the world.
See you later, alligator. Yeah.
Mm.
Let us know in the comments, because
I get
it
it.
probably will be something really obvious which I forgot about. But off the top of my head, I can't think what's the difference.
Yeah.
Let-
Are you joking me? The largest predator in Hawaii is a domestic cat.
Oh wow, that is quite mad, isn't it? That is actually quite
then you
mad.
go up. That's crazy. And then you go up and see some bears.
Yeah, black bears pretty much everywhere. Grizzly bear.
Mountain lion.
Ooh, mountain lion. There's a lot of mountains there, I guess, isn't there? Coyotes. Ooh. But I say alligator's quite popular as well, isn't it? I meant a
Polar bear. I'm not surprised that's in Alaska.
Yeah.
Florida and Louisiana have them. Most of the continental US have the black bear as their largest predator. It's important to point out this is the largest and not the most common or most
Okay.
dangerous.
Okay.
If you have the coyote, Nebraska the mountain lion, and 3 others the grizzly bear. In Alaska it's the polar bear, and in Hawaii it's the domestic cat. A
Are
very
you
big
joking
threat.
me?
We essentially conclude that there are few
I'm scared
states
of
in the
Hawaii.
US where some type of bear isn't the biggest predator. This next map is old, it's from 1942, and it shows us the resources of the United States. It mixes extracted but also produced resources, so it's a little confusing, but it's interesting to see what came from where at the time. It doesn't specify a lot. For instance, all the ores are grouped up, but
Okay.
we get to see
Okay.
how mineral extraction was somewhat common throughout the entire territory, and also point out a few regional tendencies. The Northwest and Northeast seem to be the main origins of timber, while the South was where all the cotton came from, with grain being more common further north. California
with the weather.
seemed to be
Yeah.
the only state where fruit was produced, and sheep and pigs were mostly produced in the middle western area. Of course, this is now incredibly outdated. The closest version of this map that I could find was this one. It shows us the most profitable industry per state. The middle west
Okay.
of the country still has meat as its biggest industry, which shows
Minerals
perhaps
still at
animal
the bottom.
farming is still prevalent. Surprisingly, a lot of states have aerospace as their most profitable sector. Maybe this includes air travel, with even more having mechanics and machinery. Extraction is also fairly common, like in Texas, and automotive too. Maine stands out by being the only continental state in which fishing is number 1.
Perfect to
Only
me.
Alaska also has it, just like Massachusetts with precision instruments, whatever that is, or Wyoming with chemicals. A lot has changed between the 20th and 21st centuries, but it's cool to see how some connections in industries still exist in specific states, as well as how much things have changed. Another map that chooses
it's a
different
different world
categories
now, isn't it?
Yeah,
Of course it's going to change, but some things are essential
Yeah.
at the end of the
per
day.
state is this one, which tells us the
Wow, a
most
lot of
common
Mexican.
restaurant cuisine in each state.
Oh,
I guess
go
it
on.
takes the number of registered
Pub food.
restaurants,
Pizza.
categorizes them by type of food, and then shows us which
Fast
is
food,
more
that's
common,
interesting.
if it is accurate. Mexican
Asian.
food seems to be the most common
In
in the
Alaska, I guess actually,
In-
because if you think of the top, and Alaska, the closest to that side of the
Yeah, in Washington, I wouldn't have expected that though. That's a bit of a random one, isn't it? Seafood in Maine makes sense. Fishing state.
Italian, just randomly there.
Where's Italian?
Is that New York? No, it's not.
Is it where? Where's the the dark grey? That is New
Yeah.
York, isn't it? That is New York. Yes. I
No, it
guess.
isn't.
But why wouldn't?
It's not. New York is down underneath.
Isn't that? Wait, where? This?
That's not New York.
Yeah, because that's Philadelphia, isn't it?
Oh, I thought. Where's
Ooh.
New Jersey then?
Here as well. Isn't that New
Uh,
Jersey?
Oh.
Right, we may. I'm not going to search this. We're just going to upload it, and hopefully we don't get butchered. But I'm pretty sure it's New York. I'm pretty sure it's New Jersey,
I can't
Philadelphia.
understand because when I think of New York, I think where's Statue of Liberty, and I can't see it on a map.
Let us know in the comments. I may be completely wrong, but I think it's that. But is Italian not pizza? Is what I guess for them. You
Yeah,
know what
but
I mean?
like spaghetti, pasta.
I guess so. I can't believe pizza's just a cuisine though. Like what?
the Southwest,
Pub
while
food as
pizza
well. That's
is most
great.
common in the Northeast, although Italian in general is also big in New York and around it. Maine has seafood, makes sense if they
Fair enough.
fish so much, as does Louisiana. Asian is very common in Washington and Alaska, apparently, while a lot of northern states have pub. I'm not really sure what this means, maybe some English influence, and Hawaii
Pub
has
food.
Hawaiian food as the most
Fish and
common.
chips.
It's interesting to see how the presence of specific immigrant communities may impact
shocker,
the results
Hawaii
in some
has Hawaiian
states.
food.
The East Coast, having so many Italian heritage families, likely causes their choice of restaurants, as must
Okay.
be the case with Mexican ones in the south, closer to the border with Mexico. Fast food, however, does break this trend in a few states. These are places that sell food, and when you buy something, you
high
have to pay
sales
a sales
tax.
tax. That was a good transition, right? Here is a map that shows us the sales tax percentage by county in the US. I'm not sure if
Louisiana's
the gray ones
expensive.
are 0%. I highly doubt it, or if there was just missing information. Again, if you know, let me know in the comments. It's
Is that
weird to see
Arkansas as
how
well?
inside the same country a tax rate
Arizona.
can vary so much. Although I guess we need to remember
Arizona.
Arizona here. This
What's
one
that one?
Arizona. This one Arizona. Is that
Yeah.
New Mexico? That's
Yeah.
New Mexico, isn't it?
Arizona's expensive.
Yeah, there's a few. I wouldn't have expected Louisiana, like say Arkansas, Oklahoma, and all that to be so expensive. That's Tennessee as well,
Tennessee,
isn't
yeah.
it? I wouldn't like. I know it's sales tax; it's not the biggest thing, but I'd expected them to be lower sales tax. You know what I mean?
I'm surprised New York is not as high as
And
like
then-
Louisiana.
Yeah, and then Maine's. I'd expected Maine to be high.
Bizarre.
It's just random, isn't it? It's so random that
And Florida,
the
you
US
think the
is
big touristy states would be
higher because people buy it. Yeah, no, definitely.
federal states, and they're almost a group of countries together, so it makes some sense that they each have their own laws. In Europe, I don't think any countries have different tax rates for different areas within themselves, even in federal countries like Germany, for instance, but let me know if I'm wrong about this.
Yeah, but no, they definitely do because, for the example, I don't know about the whole Europe. The UK's got VAT.
Oh, Jersey does.
Jersey doesn't have VAT, and VAT is basically our sales tax.
Yeah, we have GST, but that's different.
Yeah, that's for imports into the country. But in terms of buying local, there's no VAT in Jersey, so there you go. We know
what you
something.
see is what you get.
We know something.
These southern states seem to be the highest here in red, although Arizona and California, as well as Washington, have high percentages too. New York seems to be the only East Coast state where they're higher, and Maine
But it's
seems to be
not
the
that
lowest,
high.
along with
No.
Alaska and Hawaii. This isn't necessarily bad.
I'm
I guess
surprised
it depends
Florida's
on
so
your
low.
point of view about taxes. Also, the percentage isn't as important as the base cost of the product.
And Vegas.
And differences in counties are infinite. The most obvious one is the size of
Missed
them
the
in
trick.
terms of area. Counties in the east coast of the US are much smaller, while as you move west, west, they become larger mostly because they are less populated,
less
and
populated.
more
Yeah.
filled with nature, even if it's desert.
It's crazy
Some
how
bigger
much less
states maybe
populated
have
they are.
10 to 15 counties, while small ones reach up to 30. The
There's a
east
lot
of
of
the
counties.
US was colonized first, and so its history goes further back, having had more time to grow and develop. This, along with other factors, led to more people settling there. The biggest explanation for this difference really is population density, as we can see here on this other map. But there are some exceptions. This shows us how 144 counties have more population, over half of the country's total, than the remaining 2,998, which really goes to show how concentrated the population is.
Wow.
Although it does put into question the argument I just made, a lot of these more populated counties are in the west, and they have large sizes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why aren't they separated or organized into smaller ones? Perhaps the answer to the question lies more in the time in which the eastern states were created and organized,
A lot
earlier
later
in
on.
history, in comparison to the later establishment and territorial organization of the
This is
western
cool with
and
Mexico,
central
isn't it?
ones.
Yeah.
And finally,
Slowly
this
coming
map
out.
shows us
Yeah.
every place in the US that has had or has a woman in Congress. Some
Okay.
have had at least one woman in the House of Representatives, others have had at least one in the Senate, and some have had them in both houses of the US
Okay.
Congress. Although it's interesting to see how some have had neither, it's really surprising to find that some states, the ones in gray, have had very few women to represent them politically. Mississippi and Vermont, for instance, have never had either according to this map. A
Wow.
very shocking discovery for me if this is accurate. So, those are a few, in my opinion, super interesting maps that
They were interesting,
Yeah, they were
weren't they?
good, yeah.
Like, they pulled us in. We wanted to know more.
And different.
Surprised us.
Yeah.
And different. Enjoy that.
Yeah, it was good, interesting.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed it as well. I think there's loads of these map videos. Like you say, General Noid, he enjoys his maps. He will happily make videos on it. If you want us to check out more, let us know in the comments below. Smash that like button, guys. Smash that subscribe button. And watch the video.
Have a fantastic day.
And we will see you legends in the next one. Peace.